the Week 9 NFL totals you have to bet. Welcome, football fans, gridiron gamblers, and degenerates. It's Mitch here with my favorite over-unders for Week 9. Before I get to my favorite picks of Week 9, don't forget to spike the like button. It's free, man. Show some love and let me know in the comments which picks do you like, which picks do you hate, and of course, don't be a jabroni. Subscribe to the channel, homie. Let's get to it. Breaking down my 5 favorite over-unders that I love this week. I'm Money Mitch, and it's time to make some money. Let's go. Let's kick it off with our first pick. Our first pick is going to be the obvious pick. I think a lot of people love this under. The Denver Broncos and the Houston Texans. And there is good reason why people love the under 40 in this game. First of all, the Houston Texans have the best defense in football. They are first in yards allowed, first in points allowed. They are first in yards, plays, and points per drive allowed. Denver, meanwhile, is first in pass success rate on defense, first in overall success rate on defense, and they are also top 10 against the run. So these are two dominant defenses. For some people, these are the top 2 defenses in the NFL, and you just rarely see 2 units that are this good. And you also rarely see 2 units that will have massive advantages over offenses in the modern NFL. Houston is dominant at home. They absolutely dominate opponents at home, and they play differently at home. I think the crowd noise does have something to do with it. The fast track for their pass rush has something to do with it. Speaking of pass rush, the Denver Broncos might have an even better pass rush than the Texans. I think the Texans have the overall better defense as a secondary, as a cohesive unit. But the Broncos do lead the league in sacks by 10 sacks. I mean, that's pretty impressive, okay? Nick Bonito is an absolute animal. Zach Allen's a beast. John Franklin Myers is a dog. These guys got just big-time pass rushers in Denver. And that's key to this game. The Houston Texans, what's their susceptibility? What's their weakness? Everybody knows this. The offensive line, right? They can't block a good defensive front. We saw it a couple weeks ago against the Seahawks. Now, they were able to move the ball, throw the ball, and CJ Stroud was comfortable against the San Francisco 49ers, a team that lost Nick Bosa, lost Bryce Huff, has a bunch of rookies and a bunch of injured guys playing on their defensive front, and they just couldn't get enough third down stops, okay? That's not going to happen against Denver. Even without Pat Surtain, Denver's going to be able to make plays against their run game. They're going to be able to make plays, negative plays, with their pass rush, and they're going to get into CJ Stroud's face. And they're going to cause disruption, they're going to cause havoc, and they're going to cause stops. I'm confident in that. The overall handicap of this game is basically me taking the best defense in football at home to limit a below average Broncos offense. In my opinion, a below average Bo Nix. Limit that offense to under 20 points at home, which feels about right. I mean, the Texans don't allow anyone to score, especially at home. And Bo Nix has struggled against mediocre defenses. Sure, he looked amazing against the disaster that is Dallas's defense. He can look good against terrible defenses. But even against mediocre ones like the Jets, he looked dreadful. For 3 quarters, he looked bad against a bad Giants defense. What do you think the Texans are about to do to this guy? They haven't seen a defense like the Texans, with the speed of their linebacking core, with their tackle ability, with their pass rush, with their 2 corners on the outside, stifling Sutton and company. Marvin Mims also potentially out for this game, which takes one of the explosive weapons away from the Broncos. I think Stingley can go toe-to-toe all day with Courtland Sutton, and it will be a struggle for the Broncos to separate down the field against this secondary. The Broncos will try to run the ball. Great. I don't think they'll really have a ton of success doing that. They'll try to screen the ball. Great. The Texans are too fast for that. It's not going to work. Bo Nix is going to have to hit his deep shots down the field, and it's probably not going to happen. They're going to struggle to move the ball. They're going to struggle to score. Okay? And on the other side, you're basically handicapping the fact that, okay, the Broncos can get pressure on CJ Stroud, and when CJ Stroud's under pressure, he's not a very good quarterback. We've seen that, right? Takes too many sacks, takes too many bad sacks, panics, throws inaccurate balls. And the Texans' run game is putrid. They really can't get any push in the run game against top-notch defensive fronts. We saw that against Seattle again, right? So I just feel like these are two of the best defenses in the league. And even without Pat Surtain, the defensive front of Denver is still going to give the Texans problems, right? That is why I like the under 40.5. This feels like a 20-17, 17-16, old school, 17-13 game, okay? So give me the under between the Broncos and the Texans. Before we get to our second pick, speaking of over-unders, you guys know that I have two channels. This is my second channel, Money Mitch. Welcome. Hope you're enjoying the video. I have an original NFL channel where I cover all 32 NFL teams. It's called The Bottom Line View. If you're unaware and you're actually new to the Money Mitch channel and you've only ever seen me on this channel, let me know. I'd actually love to know that in the comments. But what I'm getting to here is I'm live every single Sunday. And this Sunday, I'm covering the Patriots and the Falcons live. My Patriots live. We can watch the Patriots cover the 5.5 live. Join me. Okay? But not only that, we're also playing some fantasy picks live. So you can join me playing some fantasy picks over there on the Bottom Line View with this link that I have in the description and the pinned comment. Play along with me, okay? So you make 2 to 6 predictions. The more predictions you make, the more money you win. Now, it looks like there might be a free square here. I'm not sure if it will qualify or not, but Ramondre Stevenson's probably not playing. In fact, I have seen he's ruled out for the game. So he's obviously not going to score a touchdown in a game that he's not going to play in, okay? I'm going to give my best guess on all these picks as we go here. I have made my own personal card, and I'll let you know what that is at the end, so stay tuned. But so we can help, I want you guys to make some money. So these are the picks that I'm going to make here. So Drake May, more than 240 passing yards. I think that the prop is around 250. So based on that number alone, I think this is inaccurate. I would take the yes. I think he'll land somewhere between 230 and 250 if I had to guess. So I'll take the yes there. Stephon Diggs, more than 50 receiving yards. Also, give me the yes. I think in a big game against the Falcons, I think he'll have 60 to 70. I could be wrong about that, though. Kyle Pitts, more than 50-plus receiving yards. I actually like that one. The Patriots are bottom 5 against tight ends this season, and I do think Drake London is going to struggle. So moving over to the Drake London stuff, I'd go under 6 receptions for Drake London. I would also go under his 70 receiving yards as well, okay? You can only make 6. So I'm going to cross these out. But I do like Drake London to have less than 6 receptions as a best bet. I'd also take the under 70 as well, potentially. Christian Gonzalez is going to shadow him. Drake London's also a bit beat up entering this game. Didn't play last week, so something to keep in mind. So out of these picks so far, the ones that I like the least, I'd say Diggs and May. So let's replace those. Tyler Algier, I think will go under. I also think that Bijan will go under as well. He's not on here, but Tyler Algier, I'll take the under 25 rushing yards. He hasn't hit this in 2 straight games. Also, the Patriots haven't allowed a running back to rush for over 50 yards all season. Drake May, 280 plus. I wouldn't play that with Drake May passing yards, but because I have him over 240, I mean, might as well say yes. I don't really love either of those, to be honest with you. Michael Penix, more than 230 passing yards. I think in order to stay in this game, he's going to have to throw the ball a lot. I'm going to lean towards yes, but again, that's not one of my favorites. Stephon Diggs to have more than 5 receptions. I like the yards total, but I'm not sure I love the receptions total. I'll say he catches 4 passes. But if I were to make something up, let's go Stevenson, Kyle Pitts, Algier, and the 2 Drake Londons. If I put in $10 here, it pays me $200. If I put $20 in, right, it pays me $400. So that's how it goes, guys, on the fantasy picks. I'm not going to submit my entry with you guys seeing my credit card information, but I hope you guys sign up. Go sign up. Tune in on Sunday. Join me live for Patriots and Falcons on the Bottom Line View. The link will be in the pinned comment. Play along. Let's win some money. And let's have some fun watching the Patriots cover the spread once again, as we've been doing all year. Okay, let's get to our second over-under selection for the video, and that is the Tennessee Titans versus the Los Angeles Chargers. Okay? So, there's some injuries for Tennessee. Tennessee, first of all, defensively is 30th in EPA allowed, okay? Expected points allowed, they're 30th in the NFL. The Chargers have gone over a 43.5 game total, 3 straight games, including last week, Thursday Night Football, where they scored 37 by themselves on a good Vikings defense. The Titans defense has Arden Key and Jeffrey Simmons, their 2 best pass rushers, out for this game, facing an offensive line that is back, looking healthy and better than ever, with Joe Alt at left tackle. Justin Herbert was comfortable against the Vikings. They were picking up all Flores' stunts, blitzes, and he was throwing rockets down the field. He was scrambling. He was buying time. He looked really comfortable and confident. And that type of Herbert is a guy that I want to take the over on. He looked like impenetrable out there. He looked phenomenal, right? Like, he was spectacular on Thursday, and I think that carries over because he knows there's no Jeffrey Simmons. He knows there's no Arden Key. He knows he has all day, and he knows he has matchups down the field with Ladd McConkey, who's playing great right now, with Gladson, this tight end, who's just been unbelievable, with Quentin Johnston flying down the field, and Keenan Allen, the old man, still got it. So with Tennessee trading 2 of their top 3 corners, they traded Roger McCreary this past week, okay, their nickel corner. They traded him to the Rams. They traded Jarvis Brownlee to the Jets a couple weeks back. L'Jarius Sneed doesn't even want to play for them. Okay, so they have their 2 top pass rushers out. Jeffrey Simmons is one of the best defensive tackles and defensive players in football. Out. Arden Key, probably going to get traded. Out. 2 of their corners, traded. And a starting safety, Xavier Woods, out. So that's what? 5 starters out? Plus they're already the 30th worst defense in football? The 3rd worst, basically? 3rd worst, 30th best, right? They're bad, okay? And then on top of that, at home, the Titans have allowed 31 points to the Patriots, 33 points to the Rams, and 41 points to the Colts. So against good offenses, good teams, at home, they have allowed 30 plus in all 3 games. So let's say the Chargers get to 30 or 31 in this game. That means that the Titans have to score 13. They were able to score 13 against the Patriots a couple weeks ago. There's going to be plenty of garbage time. And the Chargers are missing some players in their secondary. Tony Jefferson, one of their starting safeties, is out. And still, their starting nickel corner is also out. The Titans have their full offensive line going to play in this game. So I think Cam Ward can put up 2 touchdowns here. Maybe a touchdown and 2 field goals. The Titans do typically start games fairly well, and then they tend to fade in the 3rd and the 4th. That's where the Chargers pull away, cover the spread, and this game goes over. So I'm expecting something like 34-17, 33-13. I think this goes over 43.5. I think the Chargers score 30 once again and carry through that momentum against a beat-up Titans defense. And I think Cam Ward puts up around 2 touchdowns to push this over the total. So give me over 43.5 in the Titans and the Chargers. Our 3rd over-under. Might surprise you. I like the under in Chiefs-Bills. Under 52.5. Now, allow me to read you some scores. Okay? 30-21. 27-24. 20-17. And 24-20. Those are the last 4 games before the AFC Championship, which was 32-29. So the AFC Championship last year in Kansas City went over 32-29. But the 4 games before that, including the regular season matchup last year, was under 52.5. 30-21, 27-24, 20-17, 24-20. Now, you might be wondering, between Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, why is that the case? First of all, both defensive coaches are very familiar with the offenses. Sean McDermott for the Bills, who is the head coach, and Steve Spagnuolo of the Chiefs against the Bills. Second, right? These two teams want to control the clock, control the game, and control possession. And they don't want those other quarterbacks to have the football. They want to play their style, and they want to milk the clock, which means game flow is in the favor of the under. That's why this game, more commonly than not, goes under. Okay? Another point, these teams typically go for the fourth downs. And sometimes they get it and sometimes they don't in these games. So there's a little bit of variance there as well. On top of that, right, both defenses, I think, are pretty good against the pass. If you look at the Bills statistically, they have a major weakness against the run, but as a pass defense, they're still a top 12, top 10 unit in the league. They're also healthier in their secondary. Maxwell Hairston is back, their speedy rookie first-round cornerback, who is a almost picture-perfect matchup for Xavier Worthy. Christian Benford should be able to shadow Rashee Rice, and the linebackers of the Bills, which have commonly been unhealthy for this matchup, are healthy. Matt Milano, Terrell Bernard, these guys are suiting up to play Travis Kelce and the boys. The Chiefs don't run the ball. They don't run it well, and they don't run it often. The Bills, when they face an offense that doesn't have balance, is actually a good defense. Because McDermott is really good in his coverage assignments. He's really good with his pass rushes. He's really good with his odd blitzes every once in a while. Joey Bosa's playing really well. Gregory Rousseau's playing really well. There is no Ed Oliver. But this is a different defense with Joey Bosa out there and also with Matt Milano out there. Matt Milano has been a difference maker for them in all aspects. And also, Joey Bosa's been actually wrecking shop consistently. And when you look at the Chiefs' offensive line, their left tackle is out. Simmons is out. That left tackle, Jalen Moore, surrendered 2 sacks against the Commanders' pass rush. Nick Martin had 2 sacks. We probably don't even know who that is. He's like a human suitcase NFL player, okay? And then on the other side, we know Jawan Taylor is a human false start. He's going to be getting his ass kicked by Rousseau constantly. So Patrick Mahomes, who is going to have to throw a lot, is probably not going to have a lot of time to create down the field because the pass rush is coming from the Buffalo Bills, right? And I see the Bills being able to kind of contain the Chiefs with zone coverage and 4-man rush, and the Chiefs will move the ball. They're a really good offense, but I think that's going to take time for them to move the ball down the field. On the other side, the Bills' best approach to beating the Chiefs' defense is not by throwing the ball. The Bills' offense right now, throwing the ball, looks sloppy, inconsistent, and erratic. Josh Allen is incredible, but he doesn't have much to rely on at wide receiver. Josh Palmer is injured. Keon Coleman simply sucks. Dalton Kincaid is a bit beat up, and Khalil Shakir is a slot receiver who probably will be covered by Trent McDuffie for much of this game. The Chiefs will test these receivers by sending blitzes and playing man coverage, and that's been a formula that the Falcons and Patriots have used to beat the Bills, even in Buffalo. So the Bills have to run the ball. The Chiefs are weak against the run this year. They're actually like bottom 10 in success rate. So this is an avenue for the Bills to run the ball and move the ball and possess the ball, along with a bunch of screens and the occasional shot to Dalton Kincaid against their linebackers or safeties. That is how the Bills are going to game plan for this game. Long possessions, run the ball, go for it on 4th down, run Josh Allen, screen passes. That's what they're going to do. And so for the Bills to win this game, they understand that they need to keep Patrick Mahomes on the sidelines. So I'm banking on the fact that the Bills will play a possession football game and they will milk the clock. I'm also banking on the fact that their defense will play very soft coverage and will allow a lot of underneath throws and eventually will get a pass rush to get a stop. So that's why I like the under. I think this is a 27-24, 27-20, 27-23, in that sort of range. I think it will go under and be around 49, 50, 51. That's where I think it will land. So under 52.5 is my pick for Chiefs and Bills. Indianapolis and Pittsburgh. I like the over 50.5. The Pittsburgh Steelers defense, I know that you see the logo, and I know that you see Mike Tomlin walking up and down those sidelines. But guys, do I have to let you know that the Steelers, if you don't see it with your own 2 eyes, I don't know, you can't trust your vision? Trust your vision every once in a while, homies. This is a bad defense. I know it has the Steeler logo, right? But this isn't the steel curtain, okay? The Steelers are 22nd in success rate defensively. They are 25th in EPA per play. They just got shredded by Jordan Love on Sunday night, okay? They're going to get shredded by the best offense in football right now. The Indianapolis Colts are the number 1 points per drive offense since 2000. Better than the 2007 Patriots, the 2018 Chiefs, the 2013 Broncos. This offense is an absolute well-oiled machine. They can run the football, and they should be able to against this Steeler defense with Jonathan Taylor. They can throw play action at the Steelers, and they've got 3 receivers who can separate and win against man coverage, which the Steelers play way too much of. They have a retirement home ready for their cornerback position, and they are really bad against tight ends. They are like the worst team other than the Bengals against tight ends. And Tyler Warren is going to eat their linebackers and safeties for lunch. Plus, their safety, Deshaun Elliott, is out for the year, and they're trying to string together former Patriots to play that position. It's not going to be good. So I expect the Colts to score 30 plus, just as the Packers did. On the other side, the Colts defense is certainly significantly weaker than their offense, specifically on the road. Okay, the Colts are 24th in success rate this season defensively, which means they allow a lot of successful offensive plays. Now, the Steelers will take their field goals, which sometimes helps the over, sometimes hurts the over. They have talked about how they need to execute more touchdowns instead of, the field goals, but Boswell's automatic. That being said, a success rate defense that is poor in that category is good for the Steelers. Because what are the Steelers on offense? They run the ball, they throw a bunch of screens, they throw a bunch of quick passes, and they look for yards after the catch. And they employ a lot of tight ends. The Colts are weak against that personnel because they don't have great depth at linebacker, right? Their corner position also missing their number 1 quarter, Charvarius Ward. So DK Metcalf should have an advantage on the outside. And the Steelers have been able to run the ball lately. The Colts are actually 26th in success rate against the run. So I expect Warren and company to be able to run it. They're 18th against the pass, so Rodgers should be able to get the ball out quick. They do have a good interior, but Grover Stewart could be out for this game as well at defensive tackle. He is a very underrated player. So I like the over 50.5. I expect the Colts to score at least 30, and that's what I'm asking for, basically 21 out of Pittsburgh. When you look at Pittsburgh, they've allowed a bunch of points. Well, look at the Cincinnati, look at the Packers, right? Those 2 teams went crazy. The Colts asking for 30 is honestly low for them, to be honest. But asking for 30, 31, meanwhile asking Pittsburgh for 20, 21. Based on the matchups here, I like this game to go over, with the Colts getting a lead and the Steelers having to race back to try to get this game close, okay? And the 5th and final best bet over-under is the Seattle Seahawks and the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Seattle Seahawks and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I actually think I'm forgetting one. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I am forgetting one. I have a bonus. Maybe I'll give that to you at the end. I didn't even realize I wrote down 6 options for you guys, but I'll give you a bonus at the end, so stay tuned. But this is on Monday Night Football. We have the Seattle Seahawks and the Washington Commanders. I like the under 48.5. Okay, so first of all, Washington is at home, which I think is a good thing for their defense, right? Like, Seattle is typically a better team on the road over the last 2 years under Mike McDonald. I believe in Seattle's defense to the point where they will travel well. I'm not concerned about that. What I would be concerned about is Washington's defense traveling, but we did see them, actually play pretty well. I'm not sure what that was, but we did see them travel to Kansas City and actually play pretty well for the first half and hold Patrick Mahomes. And I do feel like Dan Quinn, is starting to get more out of this defense. Just from like an inherent motivation standpoint, Dan Quinn is a former Seahawk. He's a former defensive coordinator of Seattle. He has a chip on his shoulder in this matchup, and it's a big game for the Commanders. Bobby Wagner, also a former Seattle Seahawk. So there will be a little bit of motivation on the side of the Washington Commanders defense here. But I liked how they played against Kansas City. I thought they played stiffer in run defense. I thought they looked better and tighter in their man-to-man coverage. And when looking at Seattle, they don't have a lot of options to really beat you in man-to-man coverage other than JSN. He'll get his, but other than that, I don't really feel like there's a lot of options that are pure route runners or great players. And Seattle is not a great running team. Seattle is 26th in rush success rate offensively. So that doesn't really play into the weakness of the Commanders, which is you have to run the ball on them, have some balance, go for play action shots, and then have guys that can separate and run great routes to be able to get past man coverage, right? A lot of crossing routes and things like that, which I expect from Seattle. I expect them to run that play action stuff and target Bobby Wagner's slow ass. But I do think that the Commanders will be able to do well enough against the run and be able to be creative on third down with some of their sub packages and third down packages under Dan Quinn to get a couple stops in this game. And I think they'll be smart about covering JSN. I mean, come on. I mean, that's the only guy they really have to cover. Cooper Kupp has not looked great this year. Okay. On the other side, Seattle has the number 1 rush defense in yards per attempt this year. And Washington is actually, before the Chiefs game, number 1 in yards per attempt on the ground. They need to be able to run the ball in order to have success on offense. And against Seattle, I don't see it happening. Seattle basically employs 4 defensive tackles across their defensive line, and it's impossible to run on them. With DeMarcus Lawrence, Byron Murphy, and Leonard Williams, there isn't a tougher team to run the ball on, okay? So I don't see Washington being able to do that. They don't have Terry McLaurin, which means they don't have any vertical passing game. And Terry McLaurin was really the only receiver making plays for Marcus Mariota in that game. And everything else was schemed up against the Chiefs, and they barely managed any points in that game. Okay? Yes, they have Jaden Daniels back, but Jaden Daniels probably isn't 100%. Let's be honest. He's also without his number 1 target. Deebo Samuel looked like he was stuck in quicksand on Monday Night Football. He looks like he's kind of slowing down throughout the course of the season. So can't run the ball. Laramie Tunsil's beat up at left tackle, probably will play, but Seattle has a vicious pass rush. Mike McDonald's had a bye week to prepare for Cliff's offense. He's one of the smartest defensive coaches in football with an extra week to prepare. This is a secondary that is excellent at tackling. Devon Witherspoon, Nick Emanwuri, these guys are going to be all in the face of those screens and quick outlet throws that Daniels loves so much. I don't see Zach Ertz having a big game against Emanwuri either, so I really like Seattle's defense in this matchup against Washington. I think Washington will really struggle to score, and I also think that on the other side, Washington's defense at home in a big game that they have to win will come out and will play well, at least for a half. So I like the under 48.5. I could see 27-20 or something like that. I expect Seattle to win a close one, but I actually think it will be more defensive than people think here. So give me the under 48.5 between Washington and Washington State. The final pick is the Carolina Packers. Yes, exactly. The Carolina Panthers and the Green Bay Packers. Over 44.5 is going to be my selection as a bonus bet. I have no graphic, unfortunately. Let's just put it this way. Carolina, 23rd in defensive EPA. They're taking on the number 2 offense in football in that metric. The Green Bay Packers are actually a little overrated defensively so far, 14th in EPA defensively. So they're not a juggernaut by any means. They are better at home, and the Panthers are better better at home on offense and worse on the road on offense. Some injuries to watch out for. No Lucas Van Ness for the Packers once again, an interior pass rusher that really helps their pass rush. Also, watch out for the offensive line injuries. If the Panthers are missing multiple offensive linemen, I would not bet this, but it does appear that they will all play. Also, Bryce Young is back. No Andy Dalton, thankfully. That's a big deal, right? Bryce Young, the last couple of games with the Panthers, he did score only 13 against the Jets, but he put up 30 on Dallas, 27 on the Dolphins. So, looking pretty good previous to those games, scoring points. The Packers have also had 4 straight overs when you look at 44.5. 25 points allowed, 23 points allowed, 18 points allowed, and 40 points allowed by the Packers in those last 4 games, okay? The Packers also have scored at least 27 points in every single game this season, including landing on 27 like 3 different times. But every single game this season, they have scored 27 or more, except the game where they played at Cleveland. So every game at home, they've scored at least 27 points. So let's just say the Packers scored 27 points. Basically what we need here is for the Panthers to score 20, 18 essentially, right? Which actually 2 opponents against the Packers have scored exactly 18 points, which is a little odd, but because usually 17 is a more common number. let's just say 27 at least. So if the Packers score 30 or 31, we only need Carolina to score 17. We only need Carolina to score 14 if it's 31, right? So I think that's manageable, considering that the last 4 opponents that have played the Packers have scored 25, 23, 18, and 40. And the Panthers look like a pretty good offense previous to Bryce Young getting injured. They can run the ball pretty well with this offensive line. Rico Dowdle expected to see most of the snaps. Their full receiving core is intact. McMillan, Leggett, and Coker are all ready for this game. Bryce Young had maybe the best NFL game he's ever played against the Packers before. So I think the Packers are going to be able to score, as they always do with Christian Watson returning. The Panthers kind of struggle against the pass, and they really struggled against the run of Buffalo last week. So I expect them to hit 30, and I think the Panthers score around 17. I think this goes over 44.5 in Green Bay. There it is, guys, my over-under selections for week number 9. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, Gronk, spike the like button. Don't forget to check out my fantasy picks. Comment section below. It's Mitch. Gronk, spike the like button. Subscribe. We'll see you next time. Peace.